Very grateful. Like looking back, I'm so grateful that I didn't get married. The time was really trying for me. Yeah, because then I didn't have more knowledge about
Hi, it's a girl Red Rose Ever missionary. I like to start by saying that I was a Zulu and some dude from heaven put a ring on it, Gabi GP Ebe missionary, and I became Rosemary Piri. So I'd like to welcome you to this special segment called Married and Mastering. In case you're joining us for the first time, you know, this is BBC Beauty with Brains and Character, or Bravery with Brains and Character for the guys. So basically we promote godly character, for we understand that it's possible for you to have the beauty, to have the brains, to have the bravery, and also have the character, because we believe that character is actually what is going to sustain your elevation, what is going to sustain your favor, you know, and character is what is going to determine the duration of that favor when you get it, because the Bible says that your gift can bring you before kings, and you know, before kings. Okay, so we know that your gift can take you before any person, your brains, your beauty, your bravery, but it's actually your character that will sustain you. So today I'm so excited to be joined by a lovely couple, you know, but I'll let them introduce themselves before we start.
Oh, thank you for having us on your show, Marriage and Mastering. So we are very excited to be here. We are the Jeres, and this here is my lovely wife, and we have been married for the last 5 years.
You're no longer under fives.
Absolutely not.
You know, I remember when my husband and I got married, some people actually were telling me that, you know, every time I talked about how, you know, our marriage is perpetual honeymoon, we love each other, we do things together, and they'll just ask me one question: how long have you been married? And when I tell them less than 5 years, they'll be like, no, just give them time. They're still in diapers, they're still under fives. So the moment I clocked 5 years, I went to look for them to say, hello, you know, I'm still enjoying, you know, perpetual honeymoon, you know. So it's exciting that you've jumped, you know, the under 5 segment or category, you know, and we wish you God's grace. And yeah, and in case you're joining us again and you're wondering, oh, today they have a couple, it's Marriage and Mastering. So basically, Married and Mastering aims to equip you who's married or aspiring to get married with the time-tested nuggets that will sort of help you to enjoy marriage, that will help you to have a fulfilling marriage. All right, and we bring to you couples that have gone through process, you know, and have come out with so much, you know, so much nuggets, you know, time-tested nuggets to the glory of God. So we want to expose you to such couples so that, you know, you don't feel you're alone. So just pick your pen, your paper, and write as much notes as you can. So the Jeres, it's good to have you here.
Thank you once again.
Yes. So I just want to, you know, I want to start by, I know it's been like 5 years since, you know, you got married, but, you know, Mr. Jerry, what did you like about your wife? Like, what was your first, like when you first saw her, like, how did you feel? What was your first impression?
Oh, well,
and how did you meet, by the way?
The story of how we met, I think, is a very interesting one. Very funny as well, because we met in one of those places where you don't expect that you can meet your wife.
Okay.
So yeah, we met on a bus. It was one evening, you know, I was coming from kids and trying to catch a bus going home, and I sat on the front seat, and that's where she was seated. And so from there, that was the first time that we met. And thankfully, after seeing her,
You spoke to her on the bus?
just said hi.
Okay. So when you saw her, what went on in your head?
Nothing really. I think
Okay.
in that moment, yeah, you're just thinking one of those people that I meet on an everyday basis. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what did you like about her?
Well, so after I met on the bus, just had a chat like you would have with a chat with every other person that
Every
you're going to
stranger.
meet on the bus. Yeah, you be polite, say hi, say one or two things, and it ends there. Well, thankfully for us, beyond meeting on the bus, she moved on into my neighborhood, you know, and so it's one of those things where you see this girl move into your neighborhood, and yeah, you start bit by bit, you say hi, and it goes. So it started from seeing her around in the neighborhood, then to saying hi, and then getting her number, becoming friends, and then we've been married for the last 5 years now. Yeah.
Okay, over to you.
Sorry, sorry.
Over to you. You know, it's just if it's the way you met, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I want to know. Oh, we want to know. You know, what did you like about him?
Okay, what did I like?
What made you say yes to this man?
Okay, so what I liked about him, so like he said, we met, and then because we met on the bus, we spoke, and then we were living in the same neighborhood. So now when we would meet, we would recognize each other and would say hi, and eventually we became friends. What I liked about him, probably what led me to say yes.
Tell us.
When we would speak, we just had so much in common. I felt we looked at life pretty much in the same way, like we had the same perspective of how things should be. And so, yeah. And I also thought he was quite mature.
That's good. That's brilliant.
So, yeah.
And
of
here you
course, he loved God.
Wow.
You know, so, yeah.
Here you
we
are.
5 years later.
Great. So, I wanted to find out, you know what I mean? Now that you've met, you know, I wanted to find out what were some of your fantasies, like before you got married. So it could be when you are growing up, it could be when you are waiting to get married, or whenever. Like, what were some of the fantasies, or what were some of the myths, you know, that you had before you got married? And then you should tell us if whatever you thought marriage was what you found. I don't know, you want to start?
Yeah. So for me, growing up, I had a couple of unfortunate things happen to me. I lost both my parents at an early age, and so.
How old were you when you lost your parents?
My dad died when I was 3, 4. My mom died when I was 10.
Okay.
So growing up, I would always tell myself I had no control over those things, but I definitely am going to have control over who I marry. So I always had this thing of marriage should be good for me, because obviously growing up, life has not been as I would have loved. So I always thought myself, no, the person that I marry, you know, they must love me, like they must really, really love me. And then growing up now, like, I think I was a bit younger when I was thinking like that. And then growing up, you find this, I don't know if it's a reality or
on the ground.
and men cheat. And so it's like I started, started shifting. You know, maybe I should just accept that this is how it is.
You lowered your standards.
I did. I lowered my standard. But then the one thing I still kept holding on to was that, for example, if I was dating someone and then they cheated, I was not going to go on and marry them because I knew that they were a cheat. So now my philosophy was, let me get married to somebody who I see is not, and then if they should change, it should be in marriage. Like, I shouldn't go in marriage knowing, you know, that this person is like this, and then expect that when we get married,
he will change.
Yeah, but to the glory of God, you know, it's been 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And obviously,
had any of those.
and obviously, like, I think you're one of those couples that I know that you genuinely love each other. So to hear the story, I'm like, oh my God, like, it's so inspiring. I feel like I don't know you, you know. So yes, and I love what she said, that you know, like when you're growing up, I think we are so innocent. So I think we kind of have sometimes an idea of God's plan for us, you know, like I want this marriage, but then when you grow up, like the voices increase, you know, and they're like, oh my God, like, you know, anyways, I think that was too high, you know, it wasn't realistic. Yeah, Mr. Jerry, did you have any myths or any, fantasies?
Yeah, well, so for me, growing up, I grew up in a home where I never saw my mom and dad fight.
Wow.
You know, so they had a very good impression on me on how marriage should be.
Wow.
Because I remember a few times when mom was out, she had taken a trip out, you know, dad would be busy fixing up the house,
Wow.
changing the color of the paint of their bedroom, you know, stuff like that, so that she just finds the house all fixed up and looking good. So my dad had a very good impression on me on how marriage should be. And so my prayer was that I was going to be a man who was going to be 10 times better than him, you know. But growing up and then going into the world to see what the world is like,
What marriage is
and
really about.
exactly, and the standard that has been set out there, you know, you come across people that will say your wife should not know how much money you make.
Wow.
You know, she should just come to you and give you a budget.
Yes.
And then you now begin to cancel out things that I don't want this on the budget, this is not going to stand, this goes out, you know. So it kind of lowers your standard a little bit, because you think that is the reality. But thank God for the fact that I think I exposed myself to people that were enjoying their marriages, and so that helped me get back in line to have those expectations that are in line with a godly mandate for marriage. Yeah.
I love that
And
godly
just
mandate.
to,
Please,
just to add
feel
on,
free.
so the example he gave of dad and what he used to do when mom is out, like he does that. If I have to, it's like I go somewhere, in a workshop, I'm taking,
Really?
like when I come back, you know, there'll be something that will be different.
Wow. Like, I don't
That's
know why I
very
feel emotional. This is so sweet. Wow. So like you said, you know, I just love the fact that, you know, it's like God honored your prayers, because you said you wanted to be 10 times better, you know, than dad. And you didn't just put it there and forgot about it. You became deliberate. And she's here to confess, or rather to prophesy, or I mean to testify that you do that for her. You know, I mean, that's amazing. You know, that's amazing. Anyways, so we move on. You touched a very, as my husband says, sticky, you know, topic on finances.
Yeah.
You know, and you mentioned that when you grew up, you started to hear different perceptions about marriage from the guys. Basically, they were saying that, you know, you are the head, so you have to manage the finances. She should not know. You know what I mean? A world where, you know, husbands don't share their pay slips. You know what I mean? Because if she knows how much you get paid, you know, she will do what she do. So, like, I want you to say more about that. Like, how do you actually, as a man, like, how do you actually manage finances? How do you work with your wife to ensure that, first of all, yeah, you know, I have so many questions on finances, but let's get there. Like, how did you get to that point where you, first of all, how did you get to that point where you're actually involving your wife in, you know, issues of finances? I bet you know how much each one of, you know, your partner, you know, gets, right?
Yeah.
So how did you get to that place? And as a man, didn't you feel like people would look down on you, say you're not a man enough? Tell us more, you know, in case there's a man watching out there and they feel that they're not supposed to tell their wives, you know.
Very interesting. And so when you get into marriage, you need to realize that God himself, who is the originator of marriage, has set standards on how the marriage relationship between man and wife should work. And so if you are within the set standards that God, who is the author of marriage himself, has set, then you know that you do yourself a lot of good if you are just open enough. You know, a marriage should be transparent.
Great.
That is one of the traits of a good marriage. You know, and transparency starts with even the small things. You know, it starts with the sticky issues, like you had put it, and then some of those sticky issues are centered around finances.
Yes.
you know, and so you do yourself a favor as a man, as the one that has been tasked to lead the home, to just be open and say, babe, this is how much I get. So how can we work around this that I make so that we, you know, take our lives further, be able to meet all our bills, be able to do a bit of this and that, and fulfill our responsibilities. So it's actually important that as a man you are transparent around the issue of finances.
Great.
And so just to add, I'd love to just add the fact that it's not possible as a man that on your own you can do that.
Great.
You know, God needs to be able to grant you the grace.
Amen.
And when the Lord grants you grace, you do it very easily.
Great, great. And sorry, you've answered, you know, I still had the question, but, you know, like there's this notion that, you know, the man's money is our money, and my money is my money. Because you are the head of the house, you should provide. You know, what do you have to say about that? I know you both work.
Yeah.
You know, like, have you been taking your money to your relatives? Because, you know, and you have an amazing husband who shares, you know, just, okay, Mafola, bring that money. So what about you? What do you have to say? What kind of advice would you give the ladies?
Well, okay, so for us, you know, for us, we don't have the my money is my money, your money is our money. Like, our money is both our monies. And yeah, we are very transparent with each other. He knows how much I get, I know how much he gets. And so all the planning, all the budgeting, we do it together.
Great.
We do it together.
And I know maybe touch it. So what, maybe give me one advantage of putting, you know, of being transparent and putting your money together. What is the advantage? In case someone is saying, okay, well, but, you know, like...
So maybe one advantage is that, you know, if I know as a woman, I think sometimes women have maybe expectations, you know, sometimes can be a bit unrealistic. I don't know, but you know, if I know that, okay, this is the money that we had this month, and this is how much we've been able to do, so we have no money.
Great.
Like, if I wanted hair, if I wanted shoes, there's no money. I know there's no money, so I'm not going to start, you know, bothering him for money because he has no money. But if he does not tell me, I don't even know how much he gets, I'll be thinking, obviously he has money, and I'll be putting pressure, you know, and yet somebody does not have. So if someone can be able to just open up and say, this is what it is, then we all know.
Great. Yeah. No, I think that's a very important, you know, point. I can imagine if you don't know, you know, if he gives you whatever for groceries, you're like, okay, so he still has some more. You go there and say, you know, my hair is not looking good. And as a result, because you didn't share with your wife, you feel the pressure to impress. And you can't tell her that that's here because she doesn't know how much. You know what I mean? I think, you know, that's inspiring. And I hope that you are getting your notes, right? Okay, great. While it's there, maybe we change a little bit. Like, just the fact that, maybe this is for Miss Jeres, just the fact that your wife, both of you work. Like, how do you manage that? Because I know as traditional sort of women, we are taught that, you know, obviously our homemakers, we're supposed to take care of our husbands, we're supposed to cook, wash, and do everything, you know what I mean? Like, that's what is being taught. But now, obviously, the world has changed, it's the 21st century, but at the same time, we don't want to be too modern that we forget our culture, you know? And most of the times, I think, you know, I want to find out from you, because most of the times, I think men have heard of people that struggle, especially men, to say, you know, I don't care if you work, I don't care if you're a CEO. When you come to my house, I want to eat your food. I want you to touch my clothes. I want you to do everything. And the man just comes home, puts, you know, the legs on the chair, waits for the food to be served. So I want to understand, how has that been for you? Are you that kind of a man? Because the wife works.
Yeah. So my wife loves her work, you know, and my wife is a blessing to me.
Hallelujah.
And so to be able to support her, to be able to do her work effectively, I think is a big blessing for me.
Wow.
You know, because we must be alive to the fact that, yes, times have changed, and you know, coming into the marriage relationship, we all come with big dreams.
Yes.
You know, what if growing up my wife wanted to do 3 PhDs?
Wow.
You know, I shouldn't come and throw shade on her light. Instead, as a man who has been blessed by God in her life, you know, I should be able to then now create a conducive environment for her to be able to fulfill her dreams. And so it's a good opportunity for me because it helps me, and where I come in is, as much as possible, create a conducive environment, you know, that she should be able to fulfill her dreams.
Okay, can you tell us more about that? So in case there's a man out there and it's like, oh my God, I am touched, you know, but how do you actually do that? So how, maybe examples of how you create a conducive environment for her.
Okay, so you know, work is a lot of stress. For example, you know, she gets home and after a hard day's work, she's tired. She needs to plan for the next day. I come in by helping her plan for the next day. You know, sometimes when I can fix her clothes, pick her clothes and fix them for the next day.
Okay,
you know,
yeah. A round of applause. Do you want to testify? Oh, so you see, godly marriages are possible.
Yeah, so you know, give her a massage so that she relaxes, and then she forgets about the day that she, you know, the kind of shift that she had put in at work, you know. So she should be able to find that environment that helps her to thrive. And where better to find that environment than in marriage.
Wow, this is so inspiring here. Like, so anyways, let me, wow.
So he's my stylist, eh?
Wow.
He picks out my clothes and yeah.
And how does that make you feel? Now your dream is a reality, isn't it? Because you really wanted a godly man, right?
Yes. I think you know, so probably because I wanted that, and then I got to know that the world is like this, so like this is beyond my expectations now.
Yeah, wow, praise the Lord. So your expectations were high, lowered, but then God said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wow, like how many people do that? How many people literally pick clothes? And it's not like you're, you know, they call them house husband. Like you also work, and you're one of the busiest people I know as well. But beyond that, you know that you, oh my God. Anyways, we move on. So, so it's about creating a conducive environment for your wife to thrive, you know. And you talked about how, you know, she had big dreams, and you don't want to throw, like you said, shade on that. You know what I mean? You want her to, wow, that's impressive. Wait, so let's go to the deal breakers. You know, so what do you think are some of the deal breakers? You know? Yes, things that you know, bring stability in marriage. Now you are buff, you know, you are not under 5, so maybe you can give us some nuggets in case people are watching there that are less than 5 years in marriage or aspiring to be married, or others maybe they're 10 years but they didn't really pick, you know, these nuggets. What do you have to tell them?
Well, yeah, so we spoke about finances, you know, not being transparent with your finances. I guess the women will agree more with me, you know, because a man is supposed to provide. I mean, there's no running away from that. You have to hustle hard.
Yes.
You need to get your fingers dirty just so you provide and put food on the table and pay bills. So be it. So lack of transparency is one of those things that brings instability in marriages. The other thing that is a deal breaker, I would say, is a lack of trust.
A lack of trust.
And so for a marriage relationship to be able to thrive, there must be trust.
Wow.
And so people need to be able to trust each other. A man and wife should trust each other. You know, such that if anyone's going to come to our wife and say, I saw your husband with another woman, she's going to say, not my husband.
Wow.
Because we have built trust in our marriage relationship. We have built trust to an extent such that she knows my husband is going to do this. He's not going to do this whether I'm with him or I'm not with him. And so because of that, she doesn't need to be to be calling me every minute.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Why didn't you call?
Exactly.
Your line was busy.
Yeah, you know, like your line was busy. Who were you talking to?
Wow.
what has kept you busy? You haven't checked on me the whole day. She doesn't need to do that.
Then have to get your phone.
Yeah.
Does she know your password, by the way?
I don't even have one. On my phone.
Great. You see?
Neither
Trust,
does she have. Yeah.
Trust. Great. Great. Do you want to say anything? Or you think it's...
Okay, on deal breakers, I think also communication. Like if the communication is not good, most of the time, the marriage won't do as good. Yeah.
Great. And how do you get to a point where now you communicate effectively?
How do you get to that point?
Like what are some of the things that helped you to be where you are now? Where you are able to...
Okay, so I think for us, just from the way it go, when there's something that he's not happy with, he's going to tell me.
Great.
Like no matter how I react, but he's going to tell me. And if there's something I'm not happy with, I will tell him as you are going. And
You're not pushing them under the carpet.
Yes, we're talking about them, because if you're, one day.
It's very important. And I think the mistake we make is we are scared to confront issues. You know what I mean? But you don't know that the more we are, piling them up, they'll blow up. You know what I mean? That's why even sometimes you have these cases of, gender-based violence and so on, because you keep piling.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think it's important to have those uncomfortable conversations, Great. So, please.
Sorry, just to add on what my wife just said, what helps to enhance communication? Well, one of the things that has helped us enhance our communication is that in this relationship that we have, we are partners.
Wow.
None is greater than the other.
Great.
And so you give each other an audience.
Wow.
Whoever brings an idea, you run with the idea, no matter where it's coming from. Even if it's my wife's idea, at the end of the day, if there's victory from that idea, it's a resounding victory for the team. Like we are a team.
Wow.
And so it adds value to the team.
Wow.
So it's not about who brings the idea, but it's about giving each other an audience as equal partners.
Wow.
And then just one more thing I'd love to add is that you need to be able to have honest conversations. Be intentional about asking each other, like, what are some of the things do you think I need to improve on? Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how effective do you think my communication is? If she says 4, then you need to up your game.
Wow.
You need to be able to improve and make sure that you do better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Especially that it's coming from a man. Because I think there are men out there that feel that, I'm the head of the house. So if you give an idea, maybe it's a good idea and you think that I'm dumb, But I love the fact that it's talked about how, as the head of a house, he understands that they're teammates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no competition, but there's complementation. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, that's, I'm hoping that the men are learning something from that. Okay, so what else we're wrapping up? How do you manage to keep your love burning? Both of you, have full-time busy jobs, you have kids, you have church responsibilities and so on and so forth. But how, I got to check, how, you know what I mean? How do you manage to keep your love burning,
Okay. So Mr. Jeres is very romantic, So,
wow.
Once in a while, he'll come back from work, surprise me with chocolates.
Wow.
He'll write a note, maybe just put them somewhere, and then I'm busy doing something, and then I get this, and then there's chocolates, and there's a note.
Mr. J, I think you need to write a book. Don't you think so? I think I get to have. Sorry, I hope you won't lose your thought. Like some of the questions that I normally get is my man is not romantic. At least I just like it. Come on, maybe we should do like a book on how to become romantic as a godly man. Anyway, so you find the notes and the chocolate.
So imagine you're tired.
Oh,
You've
my
been.
goodness.
My work, thankfully, is not so stressful, but at home there are kids, and so you're tired, and then you're just busy with your own things, and then there's chocolates and there's nice things, and you just
Wow.
so and so He's very sweet. Like when I was pregnant,
Uh-huh.
then I think the only thing I could eat, or the only thing I had a craving for, was like tandoori chicken. And yeah, maybe he didn't have money to be buying all the time, so he actually learned how to make that.
Just for you.
Just for me. So that every time I wanted now, he just had to.
Isn't God amazing?
He is.
I want you to look in the camera and just tell someone there that godly marriages are for you have 5 years in marriage. Godly marriages are for tell them. Eh? Tell them.
You're making me shy.
Yeah,
But it's been amazing.
So no, tell them godly marriages are
Godly marriages are possible,
yes, wow, that's
and they are around.
they're around. Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Instead of some men who just say, "Eh, limba wanzako ama limba wanzako anya mna ngoma tandoori chicken economy." We thank God for you, man of God. Yes. So do you want to add on how have you been managing? We've heard her. Obviously, she's talked about you know what you do. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe do you want to say something, or I ask her what she does for you?
How do you manage to keep the fire burning?
Yes.
My wife is very supportive of me. There's been times I've been guilty of taking up too much responsibility, such that it then in turn affects our finances in the home. But through the laws, my wife has been very, very supportive.
Wow.
She'll encourage me, she'll speak life and give me hope that indeed that is just a phase that will pass and eventually we'll come out of it. The other thing is that whenever we can, we love to read together.
Wow.
You read books together, like try and read a chapter every day. Today it will be my wife reading, I'll do the listening. Next chapter I'll take it up and my wife does the listening. Pray together as well. It's very important that couples stay together. And then one other thought that comes to mind when I talk about my wife being supportive, there's been times when I've had to come home late because I was working or I was running an errand outside my day job, and for the last 5 years that we've been married, I've observed this with my wife, and of course I've mentioned it to her, is that she's so supportive to the extent that when I'm out there running an errand or indeed working, it's like we are working together.
Wow.
Because she'll cook and feed the kids, but she'll not eat until I come home so that we can eat together.
My God.
So that's how much she supports me. Yeah.
And I can imagine at least when you're eating together, Oh my God. Okay, you guys. Okay, on a serious note, you should write a book.
We are getting there now, but
Yes, we're still talking.
yeah, so the other thing is that we have been intentional about learning from other couples as well, couples that have gone ahead of us, and we watch and learn from them. We have gone to some couples and said, how are you guys able to enjoy your relationship for this period of time that you have been together? And so we love to learn from other couples. And so on learning, it's not everyone that you can learn from.
Maybe look there.
Yeah, it's not everyone that you can learn from. You need to pick people that will have a positive impact on you, such that when you see them, you're going to say, I want to be like them.
Wow.
Or indeed, I want to be better than them.
Great.
Those are the couples that you need to be able to keep around you.
Wow.
Couples that will provide a safety net for you.
Wow.
Yeah, that will provide a safety net for you. Couples that will help you to grow.
Great.
I think pretty much
Wow.
around that.
And one of the things I love is that in as much as you guys are like dope at making your fire, burning, keeping your fire burning, but I think you also recognize that in as much as we have amazing ideas on how to do that, but we can still learn some more, which is amazing. So even if you're doing, even if your marriage is doing great, you can still make it greater. You know what I mean? So like they said, look around, is there another couple that you can learn one or two things from, and then mix it up with what you have, and you'll be a zillion times better. Great. As we are concluding, I wanted to find out, I know you've touched this question, the last question before you give us advice. You give advice to the people watching about like what makes your marriage work, you know. I know you've touched a few things. Like, do you want to just summarize? I know people say it's not possible to have a happy marriage. You've shown us that it is possible, but you've also shown us that it takes work. You know what I mean? Like, but then it's, you know. So do you want to tell us, like, you know, of course you said it, like, what are some of the pillars of your marriage? What makes your marriage work? What has made your marriage, you know, become fulfilling? I mean, like, what has made your marriage fulfilling from, you know, for the past 5 years, you know? And maybe while you're at that, you can also just look in the camera and just give us your last words to someone watching there.
Okay, so in summary, I think what makes our marriage work, so financial transparency, yeah, because, you know, we all know how much is there, and so no one is pressuring the other for money. Communication, we've really tried, and I know we can probably do better, but we've really tried to keep the communication links open.
Great.
Yeah, talk about pretty much anything and everything.
Great.
Then the one other thing that maybe is there that we didn't talk about is the fact that we're friends.
Wow.
You know, we're friends, and yeah, we're friends before and we're friends now. And the fact that we're friends makes it so much easier and lighter, you know, to just have conversations, you know, even very, very tough conversations, because I'm having it with a friend at the end of the day.
Great. Do you want to add on? Those are brilliant points.
Yeah, so in finishing, I'd just love to say that love is a verb, and so what I mean is that it's a doing word. You know, love is never love until you give it away, until you show love to
Come on now.
to somebody, you know, and in this case, my wife. So for me, I just can't continue to say, I love you, I love you, I love you, and yet I don't show it
Gotta
to her.
show it.
Yeah, so you have to show your love.
Wow.
You have to find your own love language. Like for us, we have a love language.
Come on now.
You know, we have a way that we express love to each other.
Wow.
And when I say certain things, my wife knows exactly what I am trying to say, what I'm trying to communicate to her. So in concluding, I'd just love to say that you do realize that for us, because family has grown as well, responsibilities have grown even bigger, and so the time that maybe we might have for ourselves reduces or has reduced a little bit, and so it's not so much now for us, because every time we get home we have to look at the kids, look at what needs to get done and stuff like that. So it's not so much about the length of time that we spend. We have learned to maximize the time that we have on our hands. And so it's about the quality. You know, the quality that is found in the time that you have. It's about having quality time, making the most of it. Even if it's 30 minutes, see each other for 30 minutes, just learn to maximize the 30 minutes that you have.
You know, I feel like going on and on. Yeah. You know, and you know, like we promised, these are the time-tested nuggets you've heard for yourself. You know, sometimes I think when you start to hear such testimonies, you think like they're pretending, but I'm sure they've been able to even give you details to show you that actually it is possible, you know, to have a fulfilling marriage. So the Jeres, thank you so much. You have no idea what this video would do to the four corners of this world. Like, you have no idea, but we pray that, you know, even as you continue to enjoy marriage, that God will give you more grace. You know, I mean, you continue to impact other marriages for coming. You know, you had long days, but you came to shoot this video, and I want to just assure you that this video will transform lives to the glory of God. So it's been your girl Red Rose, Evan Missionary. Great.
To be here.
Thank you for having us on Marriage and Mastering.
Come on now. So it's been your girl Red Rose on the special BBC segment called Married and Mastering. Hope you've been blessed. Bye bye.